This is Makerere University, full of young and aggressive people who are social media oriented, where the myths and misconceptions on COVID-19 unravel.
The disease doesn't exist. This disease is actually just being manufactured by certain countries.
It originated from a Chinese eating a bat. Women get barren when they get the vaccine.
Myths about COVID-19 can go on and on. But how did we get here?
Since the early days of civilization, every time the world has experienced a crisis, people are quick to come up with conspiracy theories, because these theories help to comfort these people. Because when you shift blame and place it somewhere, you get some psychological satisfaction. So that's why over the years, every time a crisis emerges, conspiracy theories are going to be constructed. And it is worse in this day and age where you have the social media that amplifies the spread of these conspiracy theories.
When COVID-19 deaths increased all over the world, then the talk of a war between only two superpowers ceased, giving rise to the new myth that COVID-19 is a population control measure to reduce the number of people in the world.
When you critically examine how the two most powerful nations would benefit from this crisis, you fail to get the logic. For example, United States is the richest nation in the world and the superpower. But it has been adversely affected by this COVID. In fact, if it wasn't for COVID, there was no way Joe Biden was going to beat Donald John Trump. So how could John Trump have left the United States and the so-called scientists to invent a virus that would end his presidential career? It is just illogical. But because he knew that it was natural, yet people believe more in conspiracy theories. When it emerged, he shifted blame immediately as a politician, and you can't blame him, that this virus was created by the Chinese.
Others believed that COVID-19 is a punishment from God because our generation has seen too much.
Is COVID the judgment of God? And I think if you go back to HIV/AIDS back in when we started out, yes, there is a part in which there is a judgment of God. But then there's a part of which it's not a judgment of God. Why do I say that? If people are walking in sexual sin, sexual immorality, adultery, there's a way God has said, you know what, be faithful. And if you're unfaithful, you're going to bring trouble. So there is a part in which, yes, there was judgment. But then there is a part in which, look, we don't stay there on, it doesn't matter how people got HIV, we're going to help them.
On Saturday, 21st March 2020, Uganda registered her first case of COVID-19. The confirmed case was a 36-year-old Ugandan male who arrived from Dubai on the same day. The news came amidst allegations that COVID-19 is a white man's disease.
As the cases of COVID-19 patients go down, Ugandans are still grappling with the myths and misconceptions about the pandemic. Here at Mulago National Referral Hospital are the specialists to shed more light about the myths.
Everyone knows that many Africans as well have suffered from the disease and many have died, so that's not true. Yes, it started mainly in Middle East and Europe, but the world being a global village, people move, so it was just a matter of time that the infection will reach Africa. And we have seen quite many people getting infected in Africa, and even many have died. So it's not true that it's a white man's disease. It can affect anyone.
43-year-old Joseph Mukawa is a COVID-19 survivor. His mother too survived the deadly coronavirus disease. However, his father succumbed to it.
What happened between those days, the 10 days, I cannot explain them because like some days I was okay. I mean, like I could understand what is taking place, and then other days I would not understand what was taking place. So that's what happened. And then around the 10th day, they put me off oxygen. They monitored me for 2 days, and then I was discharged. I went back home. I saw myself getting nearer to death. I went through all the kinds of pains you can think of that come with COVID. I had that strong fever, I could not breathe, the chest was paining, and everything you could think of, I went through it. And like there is a time that I reached and I say, God, do what you want to do, because I felt that really I'm going to die.
From his experience, Mukawa clarifies on allegations that COVID-19 disease causes impotence in men.
One thing I am sure of, post-COVID exposure, once you've survived the COVID, for a few weeks, you are almost impotent. That's real. That's real. That is for real. And actually, those 2 weeks I spent in hospital, I was asking myself, after like when I was now recovering, I was asking myself, hey, what happened to me?
Most of these allegations are fast spread using social media platforms. Mr. Duncan Abigaba hinted on the vaccine failing men to function sexually.
So we observe that people who are vaccinated, they are less likely to have severe infection. So even if they catch the virus, their body is able to fight it off. So they are less likely to have severe disease, they are less likely to end up in hospital, or even if they go to hospital, they are less likely to be put on oxygen, or even if they get put on oxygen, they are less likely to enter ICU, which is the intensive care unit. So the advantage the virus offers is to prepare your body to be able to fight off the virus when you get it.
Efforts by the Ministry of Health to disband fake news about COVID-19 vaccination cannot be overlooked. The Public Relations Department in particular has been keen on behavior change and risk communication.
We have emphasis on ensuring that we answer the frequently answered questions on a weekly basis. For instance, every Thursday we have a press briefing at Uganda Media Center to highlight on any issues concerning the vaccination exercise. We also have fact sheets for each and every vaccine we are administering. We have spot messages, DJ mentions in mass media. We have posters for the communities. We use interpersonal communication as well to ensure that the population are sensitized about this myth, but also use the scientists with much knowledge in vaccinology and immunology to ensure that they provide information. And that's why we have both the Scientific Advisory Committee and the Vaccines Advisory Committee.
When it comes to communicating to the masses, the power of the Fourth Estate cannot go unnoticed.
So page 2 of the New Vision newspaper, for instance, has been focusing on these myths that circulate around on social media. People saying that COVID-19 vaccines can cause impotence. Sometimes people would say that when you get COVID, you remain impotent even after recovering from the disease. We've had feature stories and news stories responding to these issues.
You could have had a lot of information about COVID-19, some true, the other false. With this story, we believe that you've learned a thing or two to guide you as we battle COVID-19.